Hey, what's up? It's Karen San Diego, and today I'm doing my very first VSG Q&A video. If you follow me on Instagram, and if you don't, you should. I post a lot of VSG content over there in my stories, and one of the things that I posted throughout the past 2 weeks was a Q&A poll, Q&A question thing, to see if any of you had any questions about VSG, about the process, or about my experience thus far. And I got a good amount of questions, so I want to go ahead and do this video today. If you have not followed me before and this is your first video, just to let you know, I had VSG surgery on March 16th, 2022. My highest weight ever seen on a scale was 283. My weight at my pre-op appointment a week before surgery was 272. My weight the day of surgery was 262, and my current weight is 245. I am 3 weeks post-op. All right, so I want to get right into this video. I have all the questions on my phone so I don't forget anything. The first question that I got was, why did you get this surgery? And for this question, I feel like I have so many answers. There's so many different reasons as to why I got this surgery. One of the first, most important reasons to me was that my health. I started noticing certain things about my health declining. For the biggest thing was I went to my doctor and I was told that I was pre-diabetic, which is not something that I wanted to hear. I was also extremely vitamin deficient in a lot of different things, especially B12, which I know can also be associated with your weight. I was struggling to do really simple activities like walking upstairs, going to the grocery store, playing with my daughter in the park. I have a 2-year-old, and I was really struggling to keep up with her when she's running around the park. Things like that. And I think it's just important to do what's best for your weight. And to go along with that, I have not been big my entire life. I'm what you call a yo-yo dieter. So from my whole adult life, I have fluctuated between a size 18 and a size 8. My entire adult life, I've been going up and down, up and down, up and down. So every single time I would find myself at my lowest weight, I would gain the weight back. I would get halfway there and I would gain the weight back. And it would be this back and forth thing, which I did find out was slightly due to the fact that I do have PCOS. So there are outside factors as to why my weight is always fluctuating. But one of the main things that I struggle with is controlling my portions. So even when I do eat things that are healthier, I eat very fast and a good amount in one sitting. I don't binge eat. I don't snack all the time or anything like that. But when I'm eating, when I'm eating, I eat very, very quickly and take in a good amount of food in that time. So I felt like having a surgery that was going to help restrict the amount that I could eat in one sitting and then help me stay consistent with that enough to be able to maintain my weight. I felt that that was one of the best things that I could do for myself to improve my health, to be able to be a better mom to my daughter, to be able to be the best version of me that I could be. So yeah, that's why I got the surgery. The next question I have is, how is recovery going? And recovery is going great. If you watch my other videos, and you should go back and watch those before watching this video, recovery was pretty smooth for me. I know a lot of people talk about having a really, really tough recovery time. I wouldn't say that that is me. As far as pain goes, I was only really in pain for about 2 to 3 days max, with the most pain being the second day that I got home, the day I got home from the hospital. That was the only day that I was in so much pain that I cried. Outside of that, there wasn't much pain. The gas pain pretty much was gone by day 3. Incision pain I hardly ever really felt, except for my largest incision, which is in my belly button. So as far as pain and recovery, smooth sailing for me, really. I really cannot complain. I had a really, really smooth recovery. As far as eating as well, for my first week, I did struggle with getting in liquids just because I couldn't drink very fast, so I wasn't getting much down. But after the first week, even that improved. I'm able to drink 64 ounces of water or more if I wanted to. I'm getting my protein in. I still have no issue with protein shakes. And now that I'm starting to incorporate real food into my diet, I still haven't found anything that doesn't necessarily work with my stomach. I'm pretty much able to eat anything. I am still eating extremely healthy and mostly just protein, with a few vegetables now being incorporated. But even now that I'm incorporating things like vegetables, I'm not having any problems digesting anything, which I think is amazing, because I've even heard that. I've heard people say that they have trouble digesting, and that has made recovery really difficult. It made it difficult for them to eat food because they're not getting their liquids down and stuff. I can't say that I've experienced that. Like, I have been doing really, really well with recovering. The only part of recovery, and I don't know if this is considered part of recovery, but the only thing that I can say that's a pain to me right now is the 3-week stall, which I'm still currently in. And if you are new to VSG topics and don't know what the 3-week stall is, that is just a point about 3 weeks post-op, which is normally around when you start incorporating normal foods, where your weight kind of just stalls out. Mine started at 2 weeks instead of 3 weeks, which is because my doctor let me progress into soft foods earlier. So around 2 weeks, I stalled at 245, and I'm still at 245 now, 3 weeks, going towards my 4th week. But I know that it is a normal part of the process, but it's still very, 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 very frustrating. Next question. What was the beginning process like in terms of finding a doctor and advice they gave you? So for me, I knew some people who have had this surgery before. So the first thing I did was contact the doctor of somebody who had had the surgery. But that doctor was not in network with my insurance. So then I did my own research, and I found the New Jersey Bariatric Center, which is where I got my surgery done. They had great reviews. I called them. They were in network with my surgeon, and they pretty much just started the ball rolling with the process. As soon as I had that initial consultation, I felt really comfortable with them. So I went ahead and booked, did all of my appointments with them, and everything was pretty smooth. In the beginning, this is going to depend on who your surgeon is or what office you get your surgery done with. Some surgeons and insurances require that you have about a 3 to 6 month waiting period before your surgery, where you're doing multiple appointments with the nutritionist, doing multiple doctor's appointments before you can get approved for surgery. And that's a mix of your surgeon's requirements and your insurance requirements. Luckily for me, neither my insurance nor my doctor had a waiting period requirement. So the speed in which I could get my surgery done was dependent on me and how quickly I schedule all of my appointments. So I want to say that I started this process in late January. Yeah. Late January, I started the appointments. I got the bulk of my appointments done in February, and then I had my surgery on March 16th. And that was just because of scheduling. I really could have actually got my surgery done earlier, but I have a full-time job. If you don't know, I'm a teacher, so I just can't go to the doctor during the week like that. So I had to schedule around my job. So for me, it took about a month. Yeah, about a month, maybe a month and 2 weeks or so to get the whole process done, which is really, really quick. Also part of that process, although I didn't have a waiting process, I did have a few appointments to do. So it started off with an initial consultation with my surgeon, where it was just like an introduction. We went over what surgery I wanted, whether I wanted, VSG, bypass, lap band, gastric balloon, I think is one of the options. I opted for VSG. Then after that appointment, I had an appointment with the nutritionist. That was my first appointment with her. Then after that, I had an appointment with my primary care physician to get approval for surgery. Then I had some blood work that had to be run. I had to do an EKG. I had to do an endoscopy, which is just they put a camera down your throat to look into your stomach to see if there's any issues in there that might interfere with surgery. And then I had to do a psych evaluation with the psychologist to make sure that I was in the right mental space for surgery. And then I think I had 2 more appointments with the nutritionist, or 1. And then my last appointment with my surgeon for approval. And then after that last appointment with my surgeon, they called me a few days later with my surgery date. So the next question is asking about, second part of this question still is asking about the advice the doctor gave you. So the main advice, most of the advice that I got would have came from my nutritionist. And one of the big things that the advice that she gave me was, even like before you even get the surgery done, to still get into the habit of doing some of the things you will need to do after surgery, such as incorporating a protein shake into your everyday like meal routine. So pretty much at that point, I bought my protein shakes and I started substituting breakfast for a protein shake. And she also advised that I start getting into the habit of eating slower and chewing my food to a pureed consistency in my mouth before swallowing. That I did struggle with before surgery, and I'm still getting used to doing that now. But I think that if you are looking to get this surgery, doing both of those things now would be a really great thing to get yourself into the habit. Also, it's going to help you figure out what kind of protein shakes you like, because protein shakes, if you get this surgery, are going to be a part of your life pretty much forever. So figuring out what you like now is useful, but do keep in mind that sometimes your taste buds do change after surgery. I know mine's did. Like vanilla protein shakes were my go-to, and now I cannot stand vanilla protein shakes. Like I only can do like strawberry or chocolate, which is weird because I never would have done that before. All right, next question. How long were you in the hospital? So I was in the hospital for one night. My surgery was scheduled for 8 a.m. on, it was like a Wednesday or something like that, or whatever day the 16th was. My surgery was scheduled for 8 a.m. My surgery happened at 8 a.m. Then I, had the surgery. I went into like a recovery area. After I got in my recovery area, they moved me to my room that I would be staying in for that night. And at that point, my husband was able to visit me. And the hospital I was in had, my visitor could be there until I think it was like 8 p.m. So my husband stayed the entire time. He dropped me off to the hospital, waited for me in the recovery room, in the waiting room, and then was with me in my room until 8 p.m., at which point he had to leave. So he went home and then was able to come back the next day. When he came back the next day, I was there for a couple hours and then was discharged. So I was only there overnight and then a little bit of the next day. Next question, what should I pack in my hospital bag? So for this one, I would pretty much honestly say nothing. Like you really don't need anything. I'm not the kind of person that likes to change my clothes in hospitals. I wear the hospital gown. So I didn't pack a different, like a hospital clothes. I just packed like a change of clothes to go home. So I guess that's what you would want. Make sure you pack something to go home that is not going to be too form-fitted, or like pants that are going to go too high-waisted and touch your incisions. So I packed like a very loose flowy dress to go home after surgery, and then like a jacket to go over it because it was cold. And then as far as in my bag, I did pack some things because I have a baby. So like when I'm staying in a hospital, I think like, oh, what did I pack in my bag when I had my daughter? But you don't need any of those things. So I would say a change of clothes to go home in, your phone, a phone charger, maybe some headphones. That's it. That's it. Anything you eat or drink in the hospital is going to be provided by them. You don't need a water bottle because you're not going to be able to drink a water bottle's worth of water anyway. You don't need any like toiletries. You don't need any of those things. You just need, I need some chapstick because my lips are pretty dry afterwards. Some chapstick, a change of clothes, your phone, a charger, some headphones. That's it. Don't bring anything else. You're not going to use it. Trust me. So next question is, what was your favorite thing to do during your pre-op liquid diet? So this question I'm actually going to answer a little differently because I actually did not have a pre-op liquid diet. I know some people do have a pre-op liquid diet before surgery to prepare for surgery. My surgeon actually did not require that. And instead what my surgeon required was a pre-op 1,200 calorie diet. So that was for the 2 weeks. Was it 2? Yeah, 2 weeks. I think I said 1 week earlier, but it was 2 weeks. That was for the 2 weeks leading up to surgery. I was required to eat 1,200 calories every single day. One of the meals a day being a protein shake, and then I could have had whatever I wanted for the other meals as long as I didn't eat over 1,200 calories. The reason people usually have a pre-op liquid diet before surgery, some people think it's in order to lose weight before surgery, but it's actually not, although that's like a bonus side effect. The actual reason for that liquid diet before surgery is to shrink the size of your liver to make surgery go smoother. However, my surgeon said that even if you just simply eat a 1,200 calorie diet, your liver will also be significantly smaller. So she felt confident enough that she did not need to put me on a liquid diet before surgery. The 1,200 calorie diet did just fine. So that's what I was on. However, I did have to do a liquid diet after surgery, and my favorite thing to consume during my post-op liquid diet was broth, but specifically ramen broth. Like not like the ramen noodles that you get in the supermarket, but if you go to like a ramen restaurant and ask them for chicken broth, they give you the type of chicken broth that they put in their ramen, and it is chef's kiss. Like, it's so good. That was my favorite thing to consume during that portion. And it also, because it's warm, during your liquid diet after surgery, not so much before surgery, but after surgery, warm liquids tend to go down better than cold liquids. So having that hot broth that was actually really flavorful was amazing. That was my favorite thing. Not to be confused with other types of broth. I hate all other broth. All other broth is very blah and annoying. But ramen broth from ramen restaurants, don't say I didn't tell you nothing. Next question is, what is it like being a mom of a toddler after VSG surgery? So this question was one of the biggest things on my brain before surgery. I was really worried about how my daughter would react to me not being able to lift her after surgery, because after surgery, for 1 month, you cannot lift anything over 30 pounds. My daughter is 30 pounds, so she qualifies as something that I cannot lift. So something as simple as like getting her in and out of her car seat, getting her in and out of the bath, in and out of her crib, these are things that I cannot do. It's almost over, so I have a few days left before I get to 1 month post-op. So I'm almost back to my normal way of doing things. But for now, I'm limited in how much I can carry her. Especially right after surgery, I could not lift her at all. So I was really worried about that. And the thing that has made that better is just having a supportive husband, because my husband has been doing all of those things that I could not do. He has been getting her in and out of her crib. He gets her in and out of her car seat. He lifts her up out the bath, and has been able to help me with that tremendously. So what I would suggest, if you are going through this, make sure you have a support system. Even if you are not married, you don't have a husband or a partner with you, make sure you have some sort of support person if you're a mom. So yeah, if you're a mom, make sure there's somebody there that's going to be able to assist you with your child, because I don't know how I would have done this if I didn't have such strong support. As far as my daughter though, she loves to jump on me. She loves when I hold her. She loves when I pick her up. She loves to play. So she was a little confused in the beginning as to why I wasn't doing the things that I normally would do. And I did notice her getting frustrated a few times, like when she's like reaching for me to pick her up and I can't. And that was heartbreaking for me. But over time, I think she kind of just got over it. So yeah, so if you're a mom, as long as you have a strong support system, I wouldn't be too concerned with how your child's going to handle it. Children adapt. They're made for that. They will be okay. It's important that you get this done if this is something that you want to do to be a better mom to them anyway in the long run. So it is just a few weeks and you will get through it. All right, so the next question is, what's the vitamin routine post-surgery? So vitamins, they are so important. They're what's going to help you not lose your hair. They're going to help you fix the vitamin deficiency from not eating a lot of food. Post-op, we eat like 2 ounces of food in one sitting. It's not enough to get the vitamins you need. So your vitamin routine is very important. Not going to say that I've been the best at this, because in the beginning, the vitamins that I got were horrible. I could not tolerate them. So I wasn't really taking my vitamins on a consistent basis in the beginning. I've gotten way better with this now that I've found Bariatric Advantage vitamins, not sponsored, but Bariatric Advantage vitamins are way more like tasty than some of the other ones I had. Like I tried the Celebrate brand, I tried Bariatric Fusion, and I'm not sure what the name of another one I tried was, but they were all gross to me. They all tasted like vitamins, and that's not my style. But Bariatric Advantage does have some multivitamins that are pretty okay to me. The Bariatric Fusion Calcium chews though are fine. So those I take, and then I take Bariatric Advantage multivitamin. So my vitamin routine post-surgery is I have to take 4 calcium chews a day. Those are the ones I have are from Bariatric Fusion, or is it from Celebrate? I should think they're Celebrate. And I have some that are Bariatric Fusion as well. But I have 4 of those a day throughout the day because you can't take them all at one time. Then I have 2 multivitamins, which are chewable from Bariatric Advantage. And those next week I'm gonna be able to start taking the capsules so I don't have to do chewable vitamins anymore, thank God. Even though they taste good, they're too sweet for me. So I don't like taking them still. They're just, I can tolerate them. But next week I can start taking the capsules, so I'll be able to do that. And then I also take liquid vitamin B12 because before surgery I was B12 deficient. So liquid B12, 4 calcium chews, 2 multivitamin chews, and that's all the vitamins that they have me on for right now. Next question is, have you had any hair loss yet? So hair loss is one of those things that pretty much everybody who has had this surgery complains about eventually, usually around the 3-month mark. I'm still 3 weeks post-op, so I have not had to deal with this yet, but I am pretty sure that eventually I will have to deal with some type of hair loss. I'm trying to make sure that I'm keeping up with my vitamins to try to avoid this, but at this point, I think it might be kind of inevitable, so I'm expecting it to come. I'm just gonna do my best to reduce the amount by making sure I'm up on my vitamins, making sure I'm up on my protein. I think that's also important with that. And then just, I wanna start adding in some biotin, which should help as well with that. But yeah, no hair loss yet. Next question, how do you feel post-surgery? Any pain? Like I said earlier, I feel great. Pain stopped after 3 days. Now I do not get pain at all except when I eat. Sometimes if I eat too much or I eat too fast, I'll get pain in my chest. And it just kind of feels like I swallowed the food and then it's like sitting here for a while. If I get up and walk around, eventually it'll fall down and then the pain will subside. But sometimes that it can just sit in your chest for a long time. For the most part, that happens mostly if I eat too much. Like, my stomach can comfortably fit about 2 ounces of food, sometimes about 2.5. But if I eat anything over that, then I'm gonna get that chest pain. So, a few times, this is not smart, but a few times I have like took an extra bite when I know I shouldn't have, and then I'm gonna be in pain for a little bit, but it does pass after a few minutes. All right, so next question is, what is the recovery time for VSG surgery? So recovery time, I think this depends. So if we're talking about just like how long does it take you to not be in pain, for me, it was about 3 days. Realistically, I'd say about a week, right? To not feel any sort of pain. However, after that week, that does not mean that I think that you're like good to just resume all normal activities. One, you can't lift anything for a month. And then also, until you start to eat normal food, you have no energy for anything. So like even after a week, I was feeling great. But then if I went to the supermarket and did some normal groceries, I was extremely lethargic and like had no energy. I would feel like I was gonna pass out after like 10 minutes. So I would say all in all, I would put recovery at like a solid month to be able to resume normal activities and be a normal productive member of society. I would say a month. I personally took a month off of work in order to make sure that I was at full capacity before I started doing my job again. I know some people don't have the ability to take that much time off. So I would personally request taking at least 2 weeks off, getting yourself into that pureed food stage before going back to work or going back to normal life. Yeah, at least 2 weeks, but a month would be best. Next question. After surgery, can you never have bad food again? So I guess this depends on what you think bad food is. I'm of the philosophy that there is no such thing as bad food. All food is good for you in moderation. So no, after surgery, you can have bad foods again. I personally am waiting until I at least get to my goal weight. My first goal is to get under 200 pounds. So I want to hit Wonderland. And then after that, I would like to be around 170-ish pounds. 180 to 170 pounds would be like my goal weight. So I would like to hit that before starting to introduce those not so good foods into my diet, because I want to just focus on getting to my goal. But if something came up and I was to have something, it wouldn't be the end of the world as long as I stick within my portion size. So something like if I wanted to have some fast food or something, right? Just because I'm having fast food does not give me the right to pig out after the surgery. But if I had like 2 bites or so of a burger, like I would be fine. But I do want to avoid doing that. So after surgery, once you're like a year out and like you've hit your goal and you're just maintaining, yeah, you can 100% eat whatever you want to eat in moderation within the serving size that is good for you. So I know even after surgery, some people, the years after, you still shouldn't be eating more than like 4 ounces of food in one sitting, I believe. Like, I know at this point for me, it's 2 ounces. Eventually I'll get to 3 ounces. But then I think 4 ounces is where you should still try to stay around after you're like way out. Once you're maintaining, you can up it a little bit, but you're still not gonna ever wanna pig out on food like you used to. But it's totally fine to have a little bit here and there of things that are not like healthy foods, if that makes sense. Next question is, what advice would you give someone who is thinking about getting surgery? So one of the main things I would say is make sure that you are ready for this life change. This is not something that is reversible. This is not something that you can do and then change your mind. Obviously, it's not reversible. So you need to be 100% sure that this is the lifestyle that you want to live. This is you for the rest of your life, never really being able to eat in the same way. Not that you can't eat the same things, but eat in the same way that you did before. And then also, during the recovery period where you are in pain, it hurt. Like, it's difficult. Like, even now, sometimes, like, I want to eat something and I can't, and it's difficult, right? Or the mental aspect of it is difficult. Like for me, I would consider myself before surgery, or even still, I would consider myself right now to be a recovering food addict, right? So as a recovering food addict, I have times where like I want to eat and I know that I don't need to eat, and I'm still trying to train my brain to not eat because I'm bored, to not overeat because it's available. These things, it's like a mental game that I'm playing with myself, and it is difficult. Okay, it may not sound that difficult, but it is difficult. So this is a life decision that you need to make because you are 100% sure, because you can't go back on it once you do it. You're literally cutting out majority of your stomach. Like, they don't have it sitting around in a supply closet ready to give it back to you. So like, make sure that you are 100% sure before having the surgery. And I would also say, as far as advice, make sure you have a solid support system before getting the surgery, because there's a lot of things you are going to need help with. You cannot do it alone. You may want to do it alone because a lot of us feel, I'm strong, I'm independent, I can do everything by myself. This is something that for a little while you are going to need some help with. So make sure you have a good support system. Also, advice I would give is, if you're thinking about the surgery, start changing certain things now. Start eating smaller portion sizes now. Start drinking protein shakes and finding protein that you like now. Start incorporating more protein-rich foods into your diet now. Start chewing slower and eating slower now. All the things that you will need to do after surgery, just start getting into the habit of doing it now so it's not as hard for you after surgery. And the last question that I have, any regrets so far? And I would say absolutely not. There are moments where I'm sad, like the fact that I'm in a stall right now for not going on 2 weeks, and I look on the scale and I see it's still 245, and I get really frustrated. And in those moments I'm like, Karen, what did you do? You did all of this for nothing. But then I come back to my senses and know, Karen, stalls happen to everybody. You are not unique. It's going to pass. One day you will look back on this and laugh and be like, oh, you thought you was gonna be stuck forever? And like, no, you're not. And then I realized. But in reality, no, I don't have any regrets. Already, I'm only 3 weeks out and I've already seen such a difference in my face. I see a difference in my body, in the way my clothes fit, in the amount of, like, I feel happier even. So like, no, absolutely, absolutely no regrets so far. This is probably one of the best decisions that I've ever made for myself. And as a mom, I could say honestly, I haven't made a decision to benefit just me in a really long time. So it feels really good to finally be doing things to better myself. So yeah, no regrets. All right, so that's all the questions that I have. I like Q&As because I like being able to help people out, answer their questions. So I think I'll do another one of these in a few months. Maybe at like my 6-month update, I'll do another Q&A since I'll have more insights. So in order to be able to get your questions answered for possible future Q&As, make sure that you are following me on Instagram. I post a lot of VSG content over there in my stories specifically. So make sure you are following me so that you do not miss out on any other content. Also, make sure that you have hit the notification bell so that you do not miss a video from me. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.
Where in the world is Karen San Diego? From BK to Belly, it's anywhere she say so. She changing your life, can see it straight through her eyes. And sister